then throughout the season, we won a bunch of, it was called Renegades of Dirt. It was a big series. It was ever around the East Coast here. And we ran all up and down. And we ended up winning 22 races that year.
And did you mainly focus modified then, I guess?
Yeah, I only ran like 10 late model shows that year. I think we won like 2 late model shows. But so yeah, we won the series championship with the Renegades deal, and we picked up 22 wins, and that was the same year that everything happened to my dad. It happened in like August, so to win that deal was definitely special to us, you know. And
so you had to race the rest of the year after that.
Yeah, we raced the next weekend after everything happened to him, and we ended up winning. Yeah.
Well, that had to be a little different, though.
Oh yeah, it was tough. It was real tough, but I mean, it ain't gonna get no better. All these people sit around and grieve, and you aren't gonna get any better sitting around and grieving. We would have been racing if he was there, so that's what we were gonna do without him there, and we made the best with what we had. It was a struggle, like I'm telling you. And the end of 21 and 22, like trying to do it, you know, because he took care of pretty well everything. Like I just worked on the car. Like I didn't have to manage my stuff. So whenever I started having to manage my stuff and being a boss, you know, and in the end of 21 and 22, because I had a full-time guy working for me, I was just struggling, you know.
So you were a boss of a race team at 16 years old?
Yeah. And I was running
forcefully.
I didn't, I guess, technically have to keep doing it, but I love racing so much. You know,
that's got to be that has to be a whirlwind of emotions, you know. I mean, every hard moment that could have came up, it's not like you had anyone to blame, you know. I mean, it was, and you had no one to turn to as well, and your dad is gone. Like, that's a hit.
Yeah, it was rough. I mean, it was like we were struggling, man. Like I was trying to race my mod and late model, and like I ain't gonna lie, I was showing up to the racetrack late. Like I was like, it was just a lot. And I got one of my buddies. I had my full-time guy that at the time he ended up quitting and going another direction. He got a better opportunity working for a full-time late model team. So he went that direction, and I was kind of on my own with some volunteer help I had. And
this is coming up. This is off season coming up to, I guess, speed weeks, or were you even going to do speed weeks because of the situation?
Yeah. We went to speed weeks and ran down there. We actually took a late model down to speed weeks in 22, so we actually ran decent down there. We only made, I think, like 2 shows or 3 shows.
That's hard down there.
And we were just like, trying to go down there, like our motor stuff, like we had, and not that there was anything wrong with it, but like we just had a local guy doing our motors, and like we didn't have established dirt late model team, you know, like we were just kind of going to get our feet wet and try to make the best of what we had. And I always wanted to go down and do it. So we went down there and we just straight up got our asses kicked. Like, I mean, that's what it came down to being. And so when
it came down to the finances to do all that, I'm still curious because your dad goes away. Obviously, it seemed like by this point, you and your dad had worked enough, and I'm assuming you worked with him not only on the car, but in any kind of way you could to help fund the stuff in an early age as you could. But it seemed like by this point, you had built the relationships and put in the work. You know, I know Tyler Carpenter said daddy's money was, you know, not daddy's work ethic, not daddy's money. And I made the point in my video on that. You can have daddy's money, but if you don't have daddy's work ethic, you're gonna fail in this sport. It seems like at that point, y'all had already you had already built the work ethic, and financially, it seems like the team had already built a foundation of support to be able to keep it going at the time he had passed on. I assume, right? Or
we had we already established a lot of really great sponsors at that point. And, at the time, I was running MB Customs, and Jimmy Mars was behind me. You know, he helped me out a lot and got me through, you know, there and was helping me set up stuff. And, you know, like I said, I was 16, you know, at the time. So, like, I didn't really know a ton about the setup stuff. I mean, I knew enough to get me through. But so I was doing all that stuff now on my own. And then we got
This is
going into
2022. Yeah.
Yeah, and went down to Speed Weeks. And like I said, we just got our rear end handed to us. And we ended up picking up 15 wins that year, so like it really wasn't a terrible year, but it wasn't quite on the level I wanted to win them at either. I mean, like we won some cool races, but we didn't win quite on the level I wanted to win them at. So.
And how hard was it to run both cars at this point, or did you have to pick and choose? I'm assuming.
Yeah, I mean we were running both cars a lot, but I was picking and choosing too, and. So we went to the Dome, and I won there at the Dome, that prelim deal, and honestly, that kind of set a little bit of a spark back in us. I mean, that kept us going because, I mean, I was pretty down on myself after, I mean, we won 15 races, but it wasn't the year that we should have had. So, like, that was, you know, down and just everything that goes on behind it, behind the scenes that people just don't know about. Everyone thinks that everything's always rainbows and peaches, you know. Like
well, especially when you're your age and you're out there in a real car, they just assume you're, you know, a prince in the king's monarchy. You know, they just assume it's easy. So.
Yeah. Well, so then I went to PRI and was walking around, and Jerry Foster came up to me, which was the guy that I raced the modified for this past year, and he said he wanted me to race his Longhorn stuff, and said he had a new one, and I said, all right. I said, well, let's see what we can do. And I raced his stuff down there at Florida and ran exceptionally well, and the Longhorn people were really great to us, so I ended up switching my late model stuff over to Longhorns, and it was able to allow me to put all my focuses into my late model team and just work on my late model, you know. And I got this full-time crew kid now that was from a school right next door to mine. So he's only 19 years old, and I'm 18, and I got like 4 other kids that come down to the shop and help us out all the time as well. Like, I mean, we're all young, but they all love it, and they love coming down to the shop and giving me a hand. So
this must be the group that Fager was talking about. It's just you and this one guy living in a trailer.
Yeah, it was me, the 19-year-old, and I got another boy. He's only 15. He traveled with me all summer long, and I'll tell you what, I don't think I trade him for the world. They work really hard, and you know, for their age, they're really professional, and they do take this deal really serious. And got posted on Facebook the other day. I don't know if you've seen it or not, but the only sport that I know that you can go out and you can win one night, and the next night you don't make the show, or you're running a V main, and you know you're just off. Like, it doesn't matter how good you are. It doesn't matter if you're Jonathan Davenport, Bobby Pierce, Ricky Thornton. They all go through the same stuff, and you know you work endless hours, and you just gotta love it. You gotta really want it. You gotta really want it. I mean, like, it's gotta be your life. And you know, those boys make it their life as I do mine, and we work. If we need to stay up for 2 days without no sleep, and that's what we do to make sure that we can go race that weekend and try to be as good as the car can be, you know, make it as good as it can be. And you know, we were able to pick up 22 wins this season with that crew there, and the other boys that come down to the shop that are all young. And you know, my other volunteer help that I got that goes with me too. But like all summer long, like I said, it was me, a 19-year-old and a 15-year-old that was living in a toter home and traveling up and down the road for.
You know, it's so night and day different. You know, I hate on some of the younger racers in the sprint car communities, but those guys are hopping out the car after the hot laps and getting on their cell phone and walking in the trailer and texting while a crew comes out and fixes the car or does whatever. Now, these are guys that wad the car up and leave and go do something else or load their helmet bag and go to the airport. You know, it's such a different element. And maybe there are some guys in the late model world that do that, but I think it's kind of important because I feel like the racing world is used to that image of younger kids in racing. They're used to that kid who just gets out the car and has a full crew working on the car for him. You know, in racing, period. Right. I mean, you see younger racers in the asphalt industry that go up over there, and it's a similar scenario. They're not working on their cars. They're not putting in the effort. They're just drivers. You know, they're cold trickles, helmet bag, and that's it. This is how we ride. This is how we do.